there was one definition that said source love, defined as love. And I went, wow, resourceful is once again full of love. All things that originate in source, so all things originate in love. And I thought, oh, when you make a decision to do something or have something or create something, you fall in love with it, which creates the passion for you to move forward and accomplish it. And I walked a little further and I stopped for a moment and I thought, uh-oh, there's a flaw in this whole thing about everything originates in love. If everything originates in love, where does fear come from? Walked along a little further and I went, oh, I get it. We fall in love with fear. When I said in the beginning, we create a vision of what we want and we create a fear to keep us from it. We fall in love with the fear instead of the vision that we created. Fear springs out of love.
Welcome to Season 5 of Manage Self, Lead Others with host Nina Sunday. This season, as well as workplace culture, we're going deeper into embedding innovation, AI, and invisible patterns shaping how we lead. Each episode, bold thinkers join us to explore how to lead with intention, elevate team culture, and stay future ready. The future of leadership starts with the questions we ask.
Jim Britt is an award-winning author of 15 best-selling books and the creator of Cracking the Rich Code, a #1 international best-selling series, now in its 20th edition. Jim is one of the world's top 50 speakers and top 20 life and success strategists. In the past 45 years, Jim Britt has presented seminars throughout the world, sharing his success strategies and life-enhancing realizations with over 5,000 audiences, totaling over 2 million people from all walks of life. Earlier in his career, Jim was a business partner with the late Jim Rohn for 8 years, where Tony Robbins worked under Jim's direction for several years. Many of the greats in the speaking and personal empowerment industries have endorsed Jim Britt, including Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn, Mark Victor Hansen, who's also had an episode on Manage Self, Lead Others, T. Harv Eker, Brian Tracy, Zig Ziglar. It is my honour to welcome Mr. Jim Britt.
Thank you. Thank you, Nina. How are you?
Extremely well and excited to have this conversation with you today, Jim. In fact, Mark Victor Hansen, who's another colleague of yours, his episode, I think it's 141 on Manage Self, Lead Others. So this will really be a lovely continuation of the whole idea around, success, getting what you want, making the decision to get what you want. So tell us a little bit more about decision making and the importance of it.
Well, I can give you my personal experience that taught me that decision making was kind of the foundation for everything that we do. But I left school halfway through the 10th grade, and I pumped gas for a couple of years, and I went to work in a factory on an assembly line for a couple of years, and then I got introduced to my own business and a direct sales company, and long story short, they told me that if I talked to a lot of people, which was 10 a day, that I would make a lot of money. So I quit my job, gave a week's notice, started talking to 10 people a day, and in a year, I had spoken to 3,650 people minimum, and I made one sale. So I wasn't
that's
good at
disappointing.
Yeah, and I lost everything I owned. My home, my cars, my furniture. My bank account was gone. I had nothing. I had 15 cents in my pocket. I had a wife and a child. I had no food in the house, and I'm standing looking out the window, thinking, "What am I going to do? What am I going to do?" And I thought, well, maybe I'll go back to the factory and get my old job back. They'll hire me because I was really good. But then I thought, well, I don't even have a vehicle. It's 15 miles away. I can't even get there. So I ruled that out, and then I thought, no, I'm not going back anywhere. And I kept standing there thinking and looking. And all I could see was my empty driveway with no cars in it, a notice on the door from the sheriff saying you got to be out in 5 days because, your home had been foreclosed. And I didn't know what to do. And suddenly it was kind of like a voice in my head that said, don't quit. And so I made the decision that I wasn't going to quit. And even looking back on it, I'm thinking, why did I do that? I decided not to quit. And then I needed food for the house.
Yeah.
My wife and child, and we didn't have any food. I mean, literally nothing. And so I picked up a 5 gallon container of carpet shampoo, which was one of the products I was selling, and carried it 3 miles in the heat in the middle of the summer to the one client that I'd sold, who was a friend of mine, and or kind of a colleague, not a close friend, but I worked for him during the summer doing various things. And basically they bought the 5 gallons, which was about $20. So I was happy about that. And then he and his brother offered me an opportunity that we don't have time to go into the details of it, but that opportunity presented me with $300 a week, which is more than I'd ever earned in my life, a vehicle to drive, a 3 bedroom furnished apartment, and an opportunity that in the next 12 months, I earned over $500,000 from that one client. And when I got back home 2 hours later, driving a vehicle that they had let me use until they ordered a new one for me, um, and my wife was certainly excited. I had all of these things that we needed: a place to live, a car to drive, and all of this. And then there was a knock on the door about 15 minutes after I got back home, and it was somebody from the direct sales company. He sat with me for 2 hours and taught me what I was doing wrong and what I needed to be doing. And I started implementing that in the evenings. And in the next 12 months, that direct sales company earned me almost $500,000 the next 12 months. So I went from 15 cents in my pocket to a millionaire in 1 year. And back then, $1 million was a lot of money. That'd be like
Yeah.
making million
It's a
now.
lot now,
So,
too.
yeah, yeah. So it taught me a valuable lesson. If you don't quit, now some things just don't work and you quit. Some things you stay too long. But I saw other people being successful in the business. So I knew it worked.
Right.
I just knew I wasn't, maybe I thought maybe I'm not talking to enough people. I mean, I don't think anybody in the company ever talked to that many people. So it taught me a valuable lesson that, if you make the decision to do something and nothing less than that will do, eventually, whatever shows up, time, fate, circumstances, the right person, whatever that says, hey, we might as well give it to Jim. He's not going to quit anyway. And I don't write it down. I don't create a vision board for it. I don't do any of those things. I just make decisions and get on with it, because how you can be effective is in today, not tomorrow. One of my sons is starting a new business, and he was waiting on something. And I said, well, let's wait a minute. I said, what? He said, I have nothing to do today. And I said, just wait a minute. What can you do today? Anything that you can do today that's going to move you toward what you want to accomplish. He said, well, I don't know. I said, well, let's think about it for a minute. He thought about it for a little bit, and he goes, well, I could get my artwork done for this. I said, okay, do that. He said, but I don't have the product to go in it yet. I said, doesn't matter. Create the artwork, create the packaging, take action today. There's always something that you could do. We make the decision in our conscious mind. What we have to be careful of is our subconscious, the
Yes.
self-talk,
Yeah. Oh,
because,
yeah.
people create visions of what they want to accomplish. They set a goal, they make a decision, and then they turn around and create a fear to keep them from it. And there's a reason for that. I know where it comes from. What causes that?
Tell us. Self-talk,
Well,
that's such a big thing. I teach that in my presentation classes. Don't let self-talk hold you back.
where the self-talk comes from is what makes us different as humans. Why did they say they're going to do something and then
Yeah.
create that fear from it, or just they don't even know they're creating the fear? So I thought, what does a child want during the first 6 years of life? There's all kinds of things that children go through during that first 6 years, but basically what happens is we all develop in the first 6 years of life a core belief that we have about ourselves and about life that we don't know we have. And we carry
Right.
that right in. We
Does
carried, I
everybody
mean,
have a different belief, or is there one universal core belief?
no, it's everybody's got a different belief. There's
Right, right.
probably only about six real problems on the planet, but there's a billion people that's got yours and mine. So it's it's
What's a couple of those beliefs? What's one or two?
well, let's say a child grows up not getting the love and attention they feel like they need for whatever reason. Could be abuse, it could be the parents working all the time or whatever. Um, but they're not getting the love and attention. How could that show up in adulthood? Well, it might show up in their workplace where they feel insecure, no confidence, they don't speak up when they should. They don't speak out in a conference. They're afraid to get up in front of a room. It could show up in a series of short-term relationships. After about 4 months, and the other person says, "I love you," they break it off because they don't feel worthy of being loved. The parents never loved them. They might have a string of one night stands because they have temporarily getting love, or worst case scenario, they might end up as a victim in an abusive relationship, desperately seeking love, or they may overeat to get their pleasure, and then they gain weight, and they don't care because nobody loves me anyway. So that's an example, and we carry it into adulthood, and we don't know we're carrying it, and it shows up differently.
Can I tell you
We
one that Brian
try.
Tracy used to talk about? Because there's a lot of people think that people don't like them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a
Absolutely.
fear for public speaking because they're afraid that if they stand up because people don't like them, they're not going to be liked. They're going to be judged.
Well, if you think about public speakers or people wanting to speak and afraid, can you believe that your DNA has some of your parents' DNA in you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Then you must have some of your grandparents' DNA
That's
and your
true.
great grandparents and your great great grandparents. If you take that all the way back to where we lived in a cave, and our dominant thought process was, how do I kill something to eat, and how do I keep from being killed and eaten?
Exactly. We were
So
totally on the alert for predators.
yeah, exactly. And when you get in front of an audience, you look at that audience as a predator. You're getting killed and eaten, not physically, but that's a fear that comes up. And they think, and if they are raised like nobody loves me, and they feel that too, they're going to get in front of an audience and with low self-esteem and afraid. And of course, there's two needs that we have when we get in front of an audience: the need for approval, the
Yes.
need to be in control.
Aha.
It's what speakers think of when they get in front of an. I might consciously think it, but some of them do. I need to
Right.
I need to win over my audience. I need to be in control of this audience. Well, here's the problem: when you need approval, you don't get it. When you need control, you're out of control.
It's the
So if
paradox,
you,
isn't it?
yeah, when you let go of the need for approval, you get it. When
Mm.
you let go of the need for control, you're in control because you're yourself. You see people they're themselves and casual around, talking to people and having fun or whatever. They're themselves, and then they hop on stage and they feel like they have to do something more, and they get up and go, "Good morning," and the crowd says, "Good morning." Well, I didn't hear you. That's not loud enough. And it's not about the crowd; it's about them.
Yeah,
They're scared
true.
to death. So,
Yeah.
but when you let go, you're in control. My wife's always saying, "Doesn't anything ever upset you?" And I'm saying, "No." I said, "If I can't control it, if I can't do anything about it, I'm not going to give it any energy, because why would I? Now, if I can do something about it, if I'm angry about it, let go of my anger and do something. Don't go do something while you're angry, because that doesn't take you anywhere either, because
No,
that's a
exactly.
controlling issue. And when you really look at it, the need for a control is a need for approval in disguise. So everything is around our greatest need that we have as a human being, and that's the need to be wanted, cared for, loved, appreciated, all of those things.
And I want to share that my first public speaking experience, I had to receive an award at film school for our award that went to uh, some film festival overseas. And I stood up as the director of the film and thanked everybody. And I spoke a million miles an hour. And I knew I was out of control and couldn't stop. And afterwards, I thought about that and I went, never again. I didn't rehearse. I didn't really plan. I was relying on ad lib, but really I was so nervous it didn't come across. So I've learned a few things from a poor first experience and I didn't let that stop me. Yes. So that's the lesson there, Jim, is don't let a never again experience lead you to decide to never do it again. Just get better at it. Yeah. And that's what I decided.
Well, back to decision making too, is if you want to be good at something, you've got to decide to be good at it, and you've got to do whatever it takes to accomplish that. But decision making, though, whether it's in business or life, it's a form of mindset. It creates a mindset. Decision creates a mindset. And people say, well, how do I know what my mindset is? I said, take a look at any area of your life. You'll know exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm.
You ended up where you are right now based upon your mindset, whether it's business, personal, financial, health, whatever it is. We always end up where we are based upon a mindset. Well, it's now deciding. I mean, we decide all day long. We decide so many different things, and some of them are pretty simple decisions, and some are more complex. But they all create a mindset, and a mindset determines how you show up in the world, and it determines how the world or those people in the world show up to support you.
And you talk about when making a decision that you have to commit to it and not have one foot out the door reversing that decision. You got to throw yourself into that new decision. So what are
sometimes you make mistakes. Sometimes you make a bad decision.
I'm curious, Jim. A lot of the people listening and watching the YouTube videos are managers who are employed as part of organizations. Why should a leader who's employed write a book or a chapter in a book?
Well, it could be credibility. I mean, we have one person I remember that I asked him, I said, what would you do with this? He said, just put it on my desk. And he said, when somebody comes in for appointment, they look at it, and I've got a book here endorsed by Tony Robbins. I've got a chapter in it. He said, it's credibility. It's something to talk about. I can give them a copy of it. Here, read my chapter. We've got a few realtors in it. First realtor that came in, I said, what are you going to do with this book? She said, when I'm a professional lister. She said, when I go out to list properties, they always want to think about it overnight, come back the next day. So I leave them with a book, my card where my chapter is, and my chapter is written about how I give great customer service to my clients. And
so it's part of your personal brand. And if anybody is, say, a middle manager wanting to rise through the ranks, if you get yourself published, even as part of an anthology, or if you can't do your own book, because you could always self-publish your own book, this will enhance your personal brand, which gets you noticed in a good way.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it works for almost anybody. I mean, of course, there's probably some that it wouldn't enhance or benefit that much, but anybody in business, whether they're, self-employed in a small business or a big business, still would be beneficial.
So why don't we sort of close our conversation with a little bit more around what advice you would give people to be more successful in life?
Yeah, let me give you a story. A friend of mine and I, we used to read the same books some of the time. We get on the phone and discuss them. He said, "Hey, Jim," he said, "before we hang up," he said, "what do you think the word resourceful means?" He said, "Oh, it's just an interesting word." And I said, "Yeah, I guess so." And that was it. We hung up. About 2 hours later, I'm driving home from the office and I couldn't quit thinking about the word. What does it mean? So I go pick up the dictionary and I look it up. And resourceful is defined as full of source.
Yeah.
And so I looked up the word source, which really blew me away. All things originate in source. And I was in the UK in a little town called Chester. And I was out for a break during my event. I just went for a walk and beautiful day. And I just walking along and I look at this building in the back door, and it had a sign on it that said antique books.
Yeah.
So I wandered in the back door. The first thing I see is a dictionary about 8 to 10 inches thick. Some of the same things I'd seen, little write-ups on examples and stuff like that. And as I'm scanning the page, there was one definition that said source love, defined as love. And I went, wow, resourceful is once again full of love.
Fear springs out of love.
Yeah, it's created in love. All things are created in love. So you fall in love with the fear. Instead of your vision. And the fear keeps you away from your vision. So you basically fell in love with fear.
Jim, it's wonderful speaking with you today. And I'm glad we had the time to just, hang out and get some stories. So if people want to work with you, how do they do that?
If you'd like to have a chapter in Cracking the Rich Code, you can email me directly at jimbritt@jimbritt.com. I work with a few people coaching, but only take on 4 clients, and I have a waiting list. I just took on one 2 days ago. So when somebody drops off, I have an opening, and I go out and speak if anybody's looking for a speaker. So
that's great.
Yeah, Jim Britt.
Go to jimbritt.com, find out more about Jim Britt. Go to Amazon and get one of the Cracking the Rich Code.
It's been fun. Thank you very much for having me.
My guest today was Jim Britt, author of 15 books, multiple co-author books on Amazon, and he's at jimbritt.com. The link is in the show notes. My name is Nina Sunday, and this is the Manage Self Lead Others show. You can listen on all the major podcast apps and watch the video on Spotify and YouTube. And if you are enjoying the show, you can support it by leaving a 5-star review. And on Apple Podcasts, that's the only place you can leave a review. Just scroll past the episodes to ratings and reviews and tap 5 stars. And that simple act helps other leaders discover the show. Until next time, stay curious. Do whatever it takes to follow your dream. All the best.
Manage Self, Lead Others has launched the book, available on Amazon, paperback, Kindle and audiobook. Not transcripts, but it's Nina Sunday's reflections on the big ideas and insights from each guest, and is adventure calling. If podcasting is the new white paper, then a travel retreat is the new corporate offsite. Short retreats in exotic locations are launching this year, so head to ninasunday.com to express your interest and be part of this learning meets travel chapter for leaders, people managers and entrepreneurs. Plus, looking for a conference speaker or workshop facilitator to up-level your team in Australia or anywhere in the world? Visit brainpowertraining.com.au or ninasunday.com. Until you tune in next time,